So I am here with Simon of Carnation. Would you care to introduce yourself?
So hello, yeah, my name is Simon Duson. I do vocals for Carnation, and I've been doing so for 7 years.
Thank you very much. I am very glad to have you here. This is something I was really excited for because the singles for the upcoming record just really are sounding great. Very excited for the record as a follow up. I was curious about how do you think this record in particular is going to be different from Chapel of Abhorrence? Did you go into it with a different mindset than you did that record?
Um, well, first, thank you for the
Absolutely.
good comments. Um, we did go into it with a different mindset, actually. Um, Back when we wrote Chapel of Abhorrence, we really wanted to create like the best possible death metal songs that we could make, like really focusing on the death metal aspect of the songs to make them like maybe a little bit how to put it? It feels like they ended up being quite straightforward death metal.
Yeah.
And for this release, we wanted to do some. We wanted to stay with our roots, but to maybe add some different ingredients here and there to surprise the listener, but to also keep it like interesting for us. So we wanted to walk like a fine line between staying true to what we love, but also making it a little bit interesting for us to not do the same thing once again. And it's quite dangerous to go too far with that, to go into um, too much of a difference, and that your fans will not like what you've made. But it's also important to be interested in what you're writing and to not to be able to have to do the same thing again. So yeah, our goal was to walk this fine line between what we already are and what we want to add.
Yeah, it makes sense what you're saying because the new tracks do seem like they're sticking to the initial formula and pattern that the band was playing in, but just maybe a little bit technical, a little bit more of different influences going into it. And one thing that I've noticed a lot is you have a lot of people that compare you and put you right beside some just really amazing classic bands. And I was just curious, what bands have inspired the band as a whole? I mean, have were there classic bands that particularly you wanted to take influence by or were listening to when you were writing the material? Just something along those lines.
I would say originally when we first started the band, well, like Jonathan originally started the band and he asked me, was the second member in the band, I think, and then the other guys soon followed after. And back then, I would say the main influences would be like Dismember, Entombed, and probably Morbid Angel. I think really, those three death metal bands really interested us a lot. We like listening to those bands, also for different reasons, because Morbid Angel has a completely different approach to death metal compared to like Entombed and Dismember. But we,
Absolutely.
we,
Kind of the
we
death and roll sound that Entombed has.
Yeah, but we liked these two elements and we wanted to do something with both of them, so we tried to combine them early on. But I would say this one we tried listening to. Well, we kept listening to those old bands and those old records, but we wanted to maybe add some ingredients from bands that we maybe did not pay too much attention to back then, or maybe we added some more like some trash metal vibes or some more black metal vibes to it here and there, but not too much, just very subtle hints of it. And yeah, I guess Jonathan he writes most of the riffs, and the new sounds, the new ingredients that you hear in the music are mostly because of the different things that he's been listening to over the past 2 years.
You can definitely see the dynamics and the technicality being turned up recently, and I think the influences, like you said, how you're incorporating different like thrash metal, black metal, but just very subtly, very vaguely in the backdrop, so it doesn't really alienate the fan base, but still
Yeah.
puts a new sort of spice and flavor into the sound that you already had. And I think in today's metal climate, it's very common for people just to focus on the heaviness and the brutality. But the thing that really has always caught me off guard with Carnation in a good way, just generally how serious a lot of the lyricism is compared to some other contemporary bands, where you do have the very heavy sound, but you also have all these lyricism about, anger, rage, misery, blasphemy. I'm just curious about how the lyricism really comes together on a Carnation record, with the thematic elements of just the anger, the institutionalization, just the generally how massive the themes you play around with, especially in the newer music, came about.
I always approach the lyrics the same way. Actually, it's like whenever Jonathan or we as a band finish writing an instrumental version of the song, I listen to this song maybe like 500 times or something until it really I know it like the back of my hand. These songs before the lyrics are written, I already know just exactly what's happening at every single second in the song, and then I start getting ideas while listening to these songs. They start giving me like a kind of feeling, or like what I would experience listening to this song. And from these ideas and these experiences, I get like ideas to write stories for the songs. And I always prefer to write like more fictional kind of stuff. I mean, there's bands out there who do like political lyrics or like realistic lyrics, but that's not really what I like to do. I like to keep it more like fictional and story wise, and that's how I come up with these like stories for the songs. It's really like the atmosphere and the vibe that I'm getting from the riffs and from the tempo changes in the song. So yeah, that's how it comes to me. And for this
Absolutely.
for this new record, all lyrics were written in the same period, so it was pretty easy to like get like connecting themes and connecting subjects to work around. Yeah,
Yeah, to really tie it all together, because
yeah,
it does
exactly.
seem like there is kind of a focus on these, like you said, these atmospheric poetic lyrics, where yes, there are a lot of metal bands that do like to play around with sort of just very eloquent, poetically put lyrics, but I was just always very dazzled just recently about how not just campy or pretentious it seemed, how it really felt like a genuine, solid place. So, one thing that I was curious about is, generally I feel like Belgium as a whole is at times overlooked in the metal scene, and I'm aware that I'm not familiar with every single band, of course, but I am familiar with the fact that multiple band members in Carnation have been in many other Belgian projects. And I'm just curious about how the band feels as a whole, or if you've paid any mind to the fact that Carnation is becoming really just a major force in the Belgian metal scene. Like, just going forward, racking up more views, more plays, more all these things, being signed to one of the biggest metal labels. I mean, has that impacted the band's outlook at all?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. Back when we started, it was actually pretty like we didn't really have an intention of going this far. We all had our main projects, I would say, and we wanted to have like a side project. We were all super big death metal fans, but none of us had a death metal like band. We all did like thrash metal stuff and other kinds of genres.
Yeah.
But our main love was actually death metal, and we never really had the opportunity until then to like create something that we in this genre that we really loved. So we wanted to do a side project and like create one EP and see if it would be cool. But it really just kept on rolling for us, and we started really loving what we were doing, and we were getting a lot of good reactions from all around the place. So eventually it just became like our main thing and our our main focus. And yeah, we can definitely see over the years that it's changing for the better for us. I mean, we see a lot of people who tell us like, yeah, who are from Belgium, who consider us like one of the really big metal bands from Belgium. But for us it's quite strange to hear that, but I, I guess we've grown a lot since then. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very surreal when you really start to gain momentum for something you love, because at the end of the day you're wanting to do something that you genuinely have a passion for, but
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
actually can translate and have other people find enjoyment out of that, you can't really ask for more than that.
Yeah.
And I suppose on that topic, going into this record release coming up, do you have any expectations of what you would like fans to get out of the record, and what you would really like it to be as a musical statement when it drops?
I hope people will notice that the evolution compared to the first one. Um, I think we we as a band practiced extremely hard during the last 2 years. We toured a lot, and I think that really benefited us as a whole. We became a lot more um, tighter in our playing. We became more structured in how we write songs. Also, Jonathan really improved his technical skills on the guitar, and it's clearly noticeable in the lead guitar work on the album. And I really tried to add more like different vocal styles to the album, and I hope people notice that we've been really working hard to like try different things and to create a cool record. And I hope people will appreciate that we try different things, that we're not sticking to the exact same thing that we were doing. Um, yeah, I hope it's interesting for them, and I'm very curious to find out what people will say about the record.
Absolutely. It seems like the reception's already been very good with the singles and such, and I get what you
Yeah,
mean by the vocal techniques really have been turned up. I mean, as a vocalist, was there specifically any, because you said that in the death metal scene there were bands that you did enjoy, that you did really get inspiration by. Were there any specific vocalists that really inspired your style, and your, especially your guttural style, which is just so gnarly and low and just rumbling?
yeah, I think people quite clearly put me in the like corpse grinder
Absolutely, I've
category,
seen that a lot.
and and also like maybe Michael Ackerfeld from Bloodbath and Opeth has a quite similar low vocal. So it's not surprising because I used to listen to those two vocalists a lot when I was practicing when I was younger, and I really liked their vocal style. I think that it had a lot of body and it sounded very full to me, and that was what I enjoyed in their vocals. Especially Michael's from Bloodbath. He has a very, at least he used to. He kind of well changed it up now, and
Yeah.
it's not quite like it used to be. But he had a very full and very enjoyable low vocal. He used it a lot with Opeth as well back in the day, and I really liked that style. And oh, I would say those two still are like my main influence for like the guttural vocals. Um, I also really appreciate the way that David Vincent has a very from Morbid Angel. He has a very his pronunciation is very good.
Yes.
He can his articulation is very
He
well.
enunciates very, very well.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoy from Morbid Angel because there's a lot of death metal bands who it's quite hard to understand what they're singing, and I mean it's their style and it's good for them of course if they like to do it as well. But I try to stay as well pronounced as possible that people can like hear what I'm trying to say without losing my aggression or brutality, I would say, and that's just what I really like, and that's why I also appreciate like David Vincent's style. Yeah,
Well, yeah, those are some, I mean, great vocalists to be in the category of, and it's interesting how, the band's never compared in a derogatory fashion. It's always like, this band's as good as Morbid Angel, this band's as good as Bloodbath. This, that he sounds a lot like Corpse Grinder in a good way. It's really impressive that the band's been able to, be put in this pantheon beside these popular bands. So, one final thing, I guess, to end it off is, after the release of this record, you said that, the balls kept rolling. What are the plans for the future of the band? I'm assuming that there's plans of more touring after, the world hopefully calms down a bit, and just future music plans, I guess.
Yeah, we actually had some pretty big touring plans made for early 21, but um, they're they're 100% certain actually going to be postponed until till further notice, which is obviously pretty sad for us.
Yeah.
But postponed is not cancelled, so it will eventually happen, just at a different moment, I guess. Um, our goal is really to start touring again with this album as soon as we can, because there's a lot of songs on this album that are also really fun to play live. We played them in the rehearsal room, and um, it's one thing to like record a song, but it has to translate well into to the live stage as well. And I think playing live is also one of our strengths. So I'm really looking forward to play new songs live and to be able to tour with the new album. Yeah.
Absolutely. From what I've seen from you guys live, it really does seem like the room just kind of bursts with energy. Death metal just has a way of being so amazing to watch live. But I just wanted to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It was awesome talking with you.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. It was a cool interview. Thank you for
Absolutely.
doing it with me. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing the record and whatever the band comes through with in the future.
Yeah, sure thing. Sure thing. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.